Hello, welcome to New Vision TV News. I am Ruthina Sejo, broadcast from the New Vision newsroom. We bring the news around Uganda, around East Africa, around the world, and later in this bulletin we shall take a look at our daily Pal of Africa series and also a special report. We start off with the news around Uganda. From Amuria district, there is a crisis of need of 300 primary teachers. This has forced most community schools in the area to recruit untrained people to work as teachers. KARIMOJONG, the district education officer, says the district needs over 1,000 teachers but only has 700, teaching over 522,000 pupils in 68 primary schools. The report by the community monitors had indicated that the teacher-to-pupil ratio is 1:70 on average, which is contrary to the universal primary education policy of 1:55. According to Achom, the district managed to recruit 35 teachers recently, but they still have a crisis of teachers. Recently, the Education Ministry recommended at least a primary 7 school to have a minimum of 8 teachers. Moving on to Adjumani district, Uganda has joined the world to celebrate World Population Day. This year's celebrations were held in Adjumani district in Paridi Stadium under the theme Renewing the Promise, Empowering Uganda's Youth to Drive Socio-Economic Transformation. The Vice President, Edward Chiwankasekandi, was the chief guest. The Director General, National Population Consultants, Jotham Musingus, noted that Uganda's young population presents a window of opportunity for accelerating economic growth if this population is well planned. Moving on to Soroti district, a section of voters in Soroti municipality have dragged their Member of Parliament, Herbert Edmund ARIKO, to court, wanting him to be recalled from Parliament over failure to deliver services as expected. Dennis Omaria and Beno Tim, through their lawyer MS Ote Associated Advocates, wrote a notice to initiate proceedings to recall the MP from Parliament on July 3rd, 2019, which was handed to him. In the letter, the electorates are complaining that their MP has not been consistent in attending the needs and concerns of the constituency despite their attempts to meet him in his office in Soroti municipality to share and discuss matters pertinent to the development of the municipality. The report, released by Parliament in January 2018, showed that ARIKO spoke only 8 times in Parliament. However, ARIKO says he cannot respond to accusations. News from Kumi District, the Journey of Hope Walk 2019 charity campaign workers early this morning headed for Kumi District. They were joined by Bukedia Lifeline Secondary School students who walked with the team for about 800 meters, chanting the campaign's tagline, "Schools, Not Streets." The Journey of Hope Walk, now in its 3rd edition, is a binary initiative that aims at raising awareness on the plight of street-connected children, most of whom come from Karamoja sub-region. The final destination for the walkers is Lomaratoit village in Erili sub-county, Napak district. Dwelling Places, a Christian NGO behind the campaign, is supporting hundreds of pupils attending schools in Lomaratoit Primary School. This year, the campaign wants to raise funds for the construction of a secondary school in the area. 19 acres of land have already been provided to the resident Simon Peter Adugo, who traveled all the way from Kampala to attend the official flag-off ceremony at Parliament and has been working with the team. In Napak district, the relentless flooding in the northeast of Napak district caused by heavy rains has displaced many Jai, Bokora and Matheniko pastorists. The herdsmen have been grazing their animals in Kolkutu zone, an area now experiencing severe floods. The heavy rains also cut off Moroto Nyakwai Road after the floods submerged almost a 400-meter section of the road. Closing off the news around Uganda is a story from Butambala district. Following a big number of people dying along the Masaka-Kampala and Impigi highways in road accidents, Gombe Hospital in Butambala district has received 230 million shillings for an emergency ward. This was donated by the Executive Director of Insurance Regulatory Authority, Haj Ibrahim Lubega Kadunabi. The ward is fully equipped with all the necessary machines and beds. It was commissioned by the Minister of Health, Honorable Jane Ruth Acheng. Minister Acheng applauded this good cause and promised to see that government helps when need arises. We now move on to news around the East African region. We started from Kenya. Opposition leader Raila Odinga added his voice to the condemnation of the decision by members of parliament to increase their salaries and allowances. Odinga, who is now seen as a key ally to Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta, wants the parliament's powers to increase their salaries and allowances checked. MPs are planning to increase their monthly takings from 1.1 million Kenya shillings to 2.9 million Kenya shillings. On top of this, they also demand a raise in the plenary and committee seating allowances from 5,000 Kenya shillings to 75,000 Kenya shillings per session. The MPs are determined to have their pay increased even when the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is opposed. Moving on to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam is awash with reactions to President John Pombe Magufuli's call on women to set their ovaries free and give birth to more children. Some think the call is anti-women because it degrades them into baby makers and insensitive to women's reproductive health. But also there are several, especially men, who agree with the president. The Tanzanian president argues that higher population will build the economy, but opposing view contend this could aggravate poverty. When you have a big population, you build the economy. That's why China's economy is so huge. Magufuli arguing, citing India and Nigeria as other examples of countries that gained from big populations. Closing up the news around East Africa is a story from South Sudan. A South Sudanese delegation headed by the Finance Minister Salvatore Garang Mabiodit and Petroleum Minister Awad Daniel Chang are in Khartoum to discuss some technical and financial issues concerning reoperation of the oil fields in South Sudan. The delegation is expected to discuss some technical and financial details related to the resumption of oil production from some additional fields in the country. The two countries have worked together to resume crude production since July 2018 after disruption by a 5-year-old conflict in South Sudan which damaged the oil wells. Moving on to news around the world, we start from Algeria. The Algerian parliament has elected an Islamist opposition politician, Salmane Chenine, to be its new speaker. The governing FLN party, which holds a strong parliamentary majority, said it had to put the national interest above its own by supporting Mr. Chenine's candidacy. His predecessor, Mawodi Bouchebab, who was a staunch supporter of former longtime president Abdelaziz Bouteflika, resigned last week after months of protests calling for him to step down. Let's go to DR Congo, where 6 years since they were kidnapped, the Doctors Without Borders medical charity said yesterday their efforts to find 3 of its workers were still on. The workers were kidnapped by militiamen in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In July 2013, 4 members of an MSF team conducting an exploratory mission on medical needs in North Kivu province were abducted in an attack by the Allied Democratic Forces. MSF says one of the team escaped in August 2014 after more than 13 months in detention. The ADF, an Islamic-rooted group that rose in western Uganda in 1995, has been blamed for massacring hundreds of civilians and killing UN peacekeepers and DR Congo troops. Let's move on to Nigeria. The Islamic group of Nigeria, a group that represents Nigeria's minority Shia Muslims, has since Tuesday engaged in running battles with police in a protest in Abuja. Islamic Movement of Nigeria members are calling for the release of their leader Ibrahim El-Zaki, who has been in detention since 2015. Moving on to Malawi, several thousand Malawian women marched to the commercial capital, Blantyre, on Wednesday in show of support of the chairwoman of the country's electoral commission amid a dispute over a presidential ballot. The Southern Africa country has been roiled by weeks of protest since the May 21st vote, with opposition parties alleging President Peter Mutharika's re-election was tainted by fraud. News from Pakistan: at least 9 people were killed and more than 60 injured when 2 trains collided in central Pakistan early today. The incident took place in Rahimia Khan district in Punjab province when a passenger train coming from the eastern city of Lahore rammed into a goods train that had stopped at a crossing, a senior government official said. Moving on to Italy, the Vatican will dig up 2 graves after an anonymous tip-off that they may contain the remains of an Italian teenager who went missing 36 years ago. Emanuela Orlandi, the daughter of Vatican employee, was last seen leaving a music class aged 15, and theories have been circulated for decades about who took her and where her body may lie. Orlandi's brother, Pietro, who has campaigned tirelessly for the Vatican to open an investigation into her disappearance, will be present when the graves are opened at the Totanic Cemetery. Closing off the news around the world is a story from Turkey where diplomatic fallout over journalist Jamal Khashoggi's murder appears to be slowing the flow of high-rolling Saudis to Turkey as calls grow within the oil-rich kingdom to boycott the holiday magnate. The 2 Saudi Muslim powers have a long-standing geopolitical rivalry, but relations plumbed new roads after Khashoggi's killing in October in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, which tainted Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's global image. That is it for the news around the world. We now take a short break, but when we come back, we shall take a look at what's making news in business.